I'm automatically attracted to them. I just don't kiss them. It's like a magnet. I don't even wait. I mean, when you're starved, they let you do it. You can do anything. Grab them by the pussy. I can do anything.
We're going to build the wall. We have no choice. We have no choice.
Well, it's Trusty Ape. Back here on a Friday morning. Apologies, I was going to try to do something yesterday. Just never seems to work out for me. After my Thursday shift, I like to spend quite a bit of time on the bus before I get home when I do that. So it's just been a hell of a week. But I hope your week has been fantastic. And we're wrapping it up. I've actually added several videos to the watch later list. This one ended up in there a few days ago. I was watching it, listening rather live. Not much in the visual spectrum here, just so you know, but we're going to listen to End Times Teacher. There's a couple videos I want to do that are much longer that I feel like are very important for me to do for various reasons, especially concerning like things like parental rights in California and my experience with that. But it's going to take probably at least like a minimum of 3 hours to cover those videos, and I just don't have that kind of time right now. But I do have those videos in store, and I wanted to do an open panel, but I don't want to do like an open panel. It's like less than probably, minimum 2 hours, maybe more. So I believe End Times Teacher, if I remember correctly, was on one of my open panels like a year ago. I've seen this guy around Spaces for a while. So I've been following his content. He's got some different views. He's like a Hebrew Israelite and all this. But I thought this was about, I believe he's a flat earther as well. And now he's put out this video, Space is Fake and NASA is Lying to Everyone. I was having just such a good time listening to it for my own reasons. So I thought I'd share it with you guys, and we'll do a short one today. And but hopefully I'll be able to bring out some more meaty content in the near future here, and I'll get back on StreamYard and use up some of those free hours for a panel chat, because I've really been missing those. I have been thinking about that a lot lately. I'll have to figure out a way to fit it into my schedule, so that will be forthcoming.
All right, I just want to do a quick video talking about the deception of outer space, right? So just yesterday, I was looking on YouTube, and I happened to see a funny meme. And the meme was about, a bank security camera from like 20 feet away. It has a pixelated, version of like everybody's face. So if there's a robber, it's going to be difficult for them to, identify the suspect in charge because of how bad quality the bank cameras are. But yet, on the other hand, they'll show like a picture of a planet that's like 500 million miles away, or 20 million miles away or whatever, and it's crystal clear. Now obviously the picture of the planet is just CGI, right? It's not actually real. But it's just funny though, like they'll
I mean, there are probably different versions of pictures of planets that we have, in quotes, right? Like there are the pictures we get from telescopes. There are pictures that we get from satellites, and then there are pictures that we get, like say from that was that probe that went out, Voyager, that actually went out and did near passes to some of the planets that got different images, right? And then you have artist renditions of space, which is not CGI. That's people looking at it and then making up a rendition, right, based on what they see. And like the comparison, right? The fact that he's using bank security cameras, as if the security cameras at one particular bank are indicative of, like, you look at like the pictures you can take from your smartphone, like compared to a Polaroid or something, right? Like you can get much clearer, crisper image. You can get the vividness of color. The technology in photography is just um, like constantly getting innovated and getting better and better, right? But he's mad because they have artist renditions of planets out there that are not true representations. But then if you look at the real pictures, right, he's going to say, well, it's like that bank security where it's like pixelated, it's not very clear, I don't know.
Expect you to believe that they can actually get these crisp and clear images of these distant worlds. But on the other hand, bank security cameras can't even, show such a
And he's wrong. It's like Walmart's been using facial recognition for several years, right? Like their software, when you walk into a Walmart store, right, like whatever bank he's talking about, doesn't matter, right? It's fucking completely irrelevant. Like if you walk into a Walmart, right, they have facial recognition software, so their security cameras are advanced enough to tell with AI, without any human intervention, right? They can tell you from the guy next to you and get particular aspects of your face, right, that can be used for facial recognition. They can match you up in a criminal database, like a state, level or whatever. Maynard saves. Dunning can be quite stunning. Voyager, how's it going, Brojo? Good to see you. Nice. Yeah. So I mean, it's like they do have really good cameras, like, and it's not just the cameras themselves, right? They can catch a crappy image and then enhance the resolution or whatever, to get better picture quality.
your image from like 20 feet away. That's just pathetic. And a whole nother thing that everybody's talking about is just recently, within the last couple of days, there was this new Blue Origin a launch that just happened with they had like a crew of like 5 different women, and there was a woman named Katy Perry, which is a popular person. She was among the flight crew as well, and
A
somebody
popular person, like, he doesn't know who fucking Katy Perry is. Come on, dude. I mean, you're on YouTube. You don't live under a rock. You know who Katy Perry is. Like, and so I guess on a side note, she's been getting like a bunch of hate mail, and she posted on Instagram about how how oppressed she is because people are really like, hey, couldn't we find more important things to do than send Katy Perry into orbit? And she's like, what? Why am I not important? She just doesn't. She lacks perspective. That's the problem. But
pointed out that the patch that they're wearing, not only with the not only with the blue suits they got on, but they have like a patch they wear, and if you flip it upside down, it actually shows a picture that looks like the satanic Baphomet image. You can look this up. Just flip it up
of course, they had to sneak Baphomet in there. Why wouldn't they? Yeah.
around, and you can see it. And it even looks like it has, the horns on it as well, right? If you flip the image upside down, so that's an interesting point. And then another point,
If you flip it upside down and then play the record backwards, yeah, Satan will
which
speak
this
to you.
is pretty weird. When the capsule came back to the Earth, when Jeff Bezos went up to the door, they actually opened it from the inside. But the catch is, though, they shouldn't be able to open the door from the inside because it was sealed from the outside. Like, say, for instance, like 5 minutes later, when he goes to open the door, he has to use a special tool in order to unlock the hinge to open the door. But yet 5 minutes beforehand, the people inside the craft opened it up. It's like something isn't right there.
Wait, what? I don't know about all this. I didn't watch it. I mean, I don't really give a shit that much. I didn't even know it was happening. I didn't know until after the fact, and when it hit the news, and they were like, "Oh my god!" So I haven't watched any of this. But if that were the case, I mean, maybe you're saying that they're able to open the door from the inside, but from the outside it takes a special tool. And this is after re-entry, clearly, right? Like, I don't know, maybe um, the structure shifted while entering orbit.
Like, if you watch the whole
landing.
clip, they quickly told whoever opened the door on the inside, they told them to, close it right away. Because it shows the flaw that, well, hold up a second. If a door opens that easy from the inside, think about how dangerous that would be for these famous people involved to, fly to quote unquote, the edge of space to experience, zero gravity. Imagine
They didn't go to the edge of space. Like, I know right off the bat, like, that is false, right? They barely went into orbit. Like, I think they said they went just out of the atmosphere. It was like the Red Bull guy. He dropped out of it in just like a suit, right? Like, they just went into the upper atmosphere, experienced weightlessness, and then they dropped back down. That's it.
if the door caved in up there, then none of them would be coming back alive. So it's just weird to me. Like, if you watch the clip, the door opened so loosely. Like, I saw Eric Dubé's video. He described it as like a screen door, right? Like, if you ever had a door that has a screen door attached to the main door, right? It's flimsy like that. And then 5 minutes later, when Jeff Bezos goes to open a door, he has to use a special tool in order to unlock the lock. It's like, what the hell? It's like, didn't they just open it 2 minutes beforehand or 5 minutes beforehand from the inside?
Well, you see, if the door is locked from the inside, there's a tool that we use commonly. It's called a key that you use to unlatch the door and then open it up. I'm not sure if you're familiar with keys.
So why the hell does he now need to unlock it like it's some type of, big secure door if they literally just open it from the inside a few minutes prior? So yeah,
commonly with a keyed door, right? Like, there's a knob or some type of apparatus you can turn from the inside, which unlocks the door, but from the outside you need that special key tool.
There's definitely something fishy up with that. There's something clearly wrong there. That's not adding up. Another thing is they claim that the sun is 93 million miles away from the Earth. Well, this can't be the case because, first of all, there's if you ever go outside on a bright sunny day, you can look at the rays of sunlight coming down through the clouds, and you'll notice that they all are in like an arc going back to the sun. And if the sun was really 93 million miles from the Earth, it wouldn't cast light like that. It shows that it's actually
We wouldn't cast light like that. It just, no way. Yeah, we wouldn't be able to see the sun from here. Just way too far away, man. Light refraction, I don't know what that is,
a
bro.
local source light. Like, say for instance, if you have like a singular light from the ceiling inside like a long garage or something, like a warehouse, you'll notice the light shines out in every direction, but as you continue to get further and further from the light, it starts to dissipate, right?
And here he is just comparing like a light bulb somewhere to the sun. Yeah, because that makes total sense.
But with the sun, it's basically the same way. Like, say for instance, there's high altitude camera footage where you can see sunspots on the bottom of, or I should say the top of clouds, just under where the sun is. Now that can't be if the sun is 93 million miles away. The entire side of the Earth towards the sun shall...
I'm not sure what he's talking about there with sunspots on the tops of clouds. I think this is all just gibberish. I don't think... This is definitely... We're going down the Fleur Valley
all
here.
be lit up the same. First of all, here's a fun fact for you. Did you know that they say you can fit like 1,300,000 Earths into the sun?
Yeah, the thing's fucking huge. It's ginormous. Like, it's really, really fucking big. That's what you're not understanding here.
How big they claim to...
So, right, yeah, and it does, because... So the distance doesn't matter because the structure you're talking about is fucking enormous and emits... Like, what are you talking about?
The sun is like 100 times, if not more, larger than the Earth. I believe they said it's like, what, 800 thousand miles long or something like that. Y'all can look it up on Google. Don't believe what I'm saying.
I'm not sure. I don't know about any of his numbers, but I'm just gonna be like, yeah, whatever you just said, sure, go with that. Like, it doesn't matter. Like, you're talking about some immensely gigantic source of energy and light, bro.
Look it up for yourself. They say it's like over 800,000 miles across the sun. Which, first of all, how the hell could anybody know that if nobody can even get close to the sun? And second of all, no probe can even get close to the sun in order to figure that out to begin with. It's too hot. It would melt. You know, so how the hell do they know that?
Actually, I think I feel like they did launch a probe into the sun just to test that theory. I feel like we did that. Hold on, because I'm curious, what was the probe? I just want to make sure I had this right. Voyager probe. Yeah, they started the Voyager in '77, and then it just so there's Voyager 1 and Voyager 2. Voyager 1 was launched 16 days after Voyager 2. Is it still live? I thought one of them went out of yeah, it's been out there for like 47 years. It did a flyby of Jupiter, flyby of Saturn, a flyby of Titan, right? And so we're still in contact with Voyager 1. So it must have been Voyager 2 that went out of, yeah, it went out of range. Went by Uranus, Neptune, Jupiter, Saturn, and it went out of range. As far as I can recall, okay, so we got the Voyager satellites out there, and then he's talking about, let me look this up. Space probe. Yeah, the NASA Parker Solar Probe, designed to study the sun, particularly its atmosphere or corona. Screen go dead, sorry about that. Has made several close approaches to the sun, including its record-breaking closest approach, December 24, 2024. When it reached within 3.8 million miles of the sun's surface, traveling at a speed of 430,000 miles per hour during these close approaches. So it goes by really fast, and it doesn't burn up. And the thing's still out there. Hello?
They know that. And the answer is, well, they don't know that. It's just like a rough estimate or a guess. But, you know, they'll put that in the school books as if it's like, you know, unquestionable, you know, fact, right? Like, say, for instance, before in history, some people believed the sun was 45 miles away. Some believed it was 100
Yeah, those people didn't know shit, though. You're just like
miles,
talking about
right?
people making
45
guesses.
million miles, you know, 86 million miles, and so on and so forth. But now they settled on 93 million miles. It's like, well, shit, in 100 years from now, they might say it's 200 million miles. You know, so the number just keeps either decreasing or increasing, right? So it shows it's not the exact science. It's just something that people...
No, we absolutely know, like, in as far as, you know, planetary orbits, right? Like, they vary. So you're not always exactly the same distance from another body in the universe, right? Like, it changes from time to time, just due to gravitation and different factors, right?
People are taking a guess about. Another example I'll give you for how space is just, you know, fiction and made up is NASA claims that
it's like it's fiction and made up. I like, you know, I'd love to launch this dude up into space and then have him make the same
For
claim.
a quick
See, ETT is the person that needs to go into space, not people who believe it exists. You need to send these flurfers and these fuckers who don't think that space is real, just send them up. That's what we need to be doing, you know?
quintillion
He'll either die or, you know, die believing. I don't know.
different planets that exist throughout the galaxies. A quintillion, if you don't know how much that is, that's basically, what is that, like 1,000,000,000, 1,000 times? So basically what they're saying is there's more planets out there throughout the infinite galaxies than there are than the amount of grains of sand at the seashore. Stop and think about that for a second. Do you really believe them when they say that? Is there really a quintillion other different worlds out there that exist? Obviously, the answer is no. But again, that's the mainstream science. That's what NASA is claiming now, that there's quintillion different planets out there, and some of them might be able to inhabit life. Like, say, for instance, I saw this documentary before. It's called Evacuate Earth. Look it up on YouTube. I believe it's from like the early 2000s. But it's actually a really good documentary. I recommend watching. Again, it's called Evacuate Earth. I believe it's about 2 hours long. And, you know, the whole point of it is like the world's going to end by like a neutron star. So they have like, you know, 70 years or whatever to create a spacecraft to transport humans to a whole nother world. And then they claim, oh, you know, we found, you know, an Earth 2.0 that's like, you know, a light year away from Earth. And it's like, well, hold up a second. Well, these light years, these are not just terms they use in movies. Like, they actually claim that in real life that there's, you know, planets that are like 5 light years away. Well, first of all, if it was really 5 light years away, well, how the hell do you even know it exists? Like, you certainly didn't get no damn satellite out there. I mean, there's no telescope that's gonna, you know, zoom in on something that's, you know, 5 light years away from the Earth. If you don't know how long a light year is, do a Google search on that, right? It's literally, you can't fathom how big that is, right? How big of a number that is. And you mean to tell me they have like satellites that somehow were able to like pick up an imagery of it or some type of sonar from light years away? Like sorry, I call bullshit on that. That's
I don't think it's not light years. Light years are like a long way away. It's not that
not
far.
true. First of all, satellites themselves, which I believe satellites do exist, but they're just on high altitude weather
They're just on high altitude. So he believes in satellites. He just thinks they're on weather balloons orbiting around the Earth. It's amazing.
balloons above the Earth. Like, say for instance, in 2019.
So where does space end, right? Like, if outer space doesn't exist, but there is this space around the Earth, for, you know, where satellites and the space station can inhabit it, you know, how big is that space in your theory?
There was a crash landing from one of these satellites, and it was attached to a popped balloon. So these satellites, they technically do exist, but they're just in high.
Is he talking about like a fucking landing module, a pop balloon? Is that like a parachute? Like, don't the landing modules have parachutes? That's how they work. It's not a balloon. It's a fucking parachute, bro.
Orbit floating around on you know, balloons, right? On like high altitude balloons that are created to be able.
This is some fucking lunatic shit right here. Like, just how do you come up with this shit?
To stand for years up in that type of atmosphere. And then over the course of time, whether, you know, when they pop, they can fall back to Earth, and it's very likely they'll either end up in the water, which are...
Yeah, that's what happens. They launch the satellites on balloons, and they wait for the balloons to pop, and then they just, yeah, that's totally
like
what happens.
70% water. At least that's what they claim. So it's very likely they end up in the ocean. And once in a while, they might even crash onto land.
Hey, my awesome life, welcome. Good to see you.
But even if they do land on the land, it's likely they won't ever be found for a very long time because most people on Earth live in cities or, populated areas.
It's fucking idiot. You don't think they're sending like, multi-million dollar fucking machines out into space? You don't think they track the fucking location? You don't think they can use GPS trackers? And we can track fucking parolees released from prison and shit, we can't track a satellite, bro. Get the fuck out of here.
Not
What are you
just
talking about?
random locations. Like say the deserts or the forest or so on and so forth. Right, the populations are mainly condensed into small areas around the world. A whole nother question is if there really were satellites out there, like they claim there's one a million miles from the Earth. Like if you do a Google search, they claim that they took a picture of the Earth a million miles away. Like seriously, the Earth on this picture is like a little dot, right? Like a little pen dot. Like if you ever took like a notepad and just quickly put a little dot on it, just press the pen
Pale blue dot, yeah.
against it for a second, make that little dot. Basically, that's
He
what
knows
the
it.
Earth was in the background of this picture, and that's what they claim the Earth is from a million miles away. It's like, I call bullshit on that. It's much more likely that they just photoshopped the image and just said it that's what it is, compared to actually making it.
Like, why would they do that? Because they've made, right, like there's artist renditions of the Earth from afar, right? And we know that there are artist renditions of the Earth from afar. Why would NASA go out of their way to send a fake probe out into space, wait, and then Photoshop an image claiming that they got, like, that doesn't make any type of sense. What you're saying is that the hard work and ingenuity of thousands upon thousands physicists and astronomers and different types of scientists, right, and engineers all working in conjunction is just a fucking hoax so that they could Photoshop an image of a dot.
A satellite and sending it a million miles from the Earth. First of all, how the hell could they get internet reception or any data back from a satellite a million miles away?
Oh my god, this fucking guy is so dense. So dense.
If I can't even go 20 feet from my house and keep the internet connection to the router in the house. And then second of all, you can go places on Earth.
The images are sent, and Sagan describes this in the book Pale Blue Dot in vivid detail of how they're sitting there in the fucking control center and they're getting it back pixel by pixel. It took hours, many hours to get every pixel of that photograph and then reconstitute the picture that was taken, right? Like, it took a lot of fucking work and a lot of time to render that image because the technology at the time was nowhere near where we're at now, right? And the technology we're at now is more near instantaneous, but it still takes time. There is still a lot of work involved to undertake that project, right? And we're still doing it. Like, so there's an app. You can look at the images that the rovers on Mars are taking. Like they're uploading new images all the time. I used to have the app, and so you can see how they go from point to point to point. They take a 360-degree image of the terrain. They move, take another 360-degree image of the terrain, and then you can go look at it and see what that looks like on your cell phone. So it's out there.
And you won't get internet reception or cell service. So how the hell did y'all get the service to be able to connect with an object a million miles?
They used fucking AT&T, bro. Come on, get with
from
it.
the Earth. If even here on the Earth with the 50,000 supposed satellites that are orbiting the Earth, and we can't even get cell connection or internet connection everywhere on the Earth? Like seriously, you can go to the desert, you go to the beach, go to the middle of the ocean, go to the rainforest. You're not going to get internet reception there. Why? Because there's no cell towers there, and that's what it's based upon. So I call bullshit on that. And, people who just believe it, they believe it out.
This man thinks that the government, the the space agencies are using, regular ass internet like the rest of us.
Out of ignorance, right? Like again, nobody has ever, been to space for themselves. Nobody has ever seen it. Everybody just believes it because that's what we were told. Like say for instance, NASA has no excuse. NASA is getting $70 million every single day of the American taxpayer dollars, and they can't even give us a live feed from the surface of the moon. First of all, they claim they can't.
Why would you want a live feed from the surface of the moon? You have a live feed from the fucking space station. You have, like as I said, the fucking rover images from Mars, right? Like all that shit's available to you, and you're like, why don't they put cameras on the moon? Because nothing happens on the moon. There's nothing there. And he's also, I don't know if he talked about it earlier. I was out for a minute. He might go into it here. But they're like, why don't they colonize the moon? It's because there's no fucking interest for anybody to colonize on the moon. There's a whole deal that goes on between the various superpowers in the world where they're like, okay, they had this agreement that was like the moon belongs to everybody, so no one country is going to colonize the moon, et cetera, just like they did with the space station. They were like, we're all going to join this together, so we're not going to end up in, basically a military operation where one or the other party is trying to control that area of space, right? Cosmic Kyle, good to see you. Nice to see you. Thank you. You like the stream, yeah. As an astrophotographer who literally makes space his entire career, this shit is hilarious. Yeah, I thought, I was like, this guy is just way too confident in his his assessments here, and it's ridiculous. Like when you think about it, he's gone from like bank security cameras to he just has no idea. He's like comparing the people who do science, to, people who just, all I could say is they're conspiracy theorists, right? Of one ilk or the other. And legitimizing those conspiracy theorists. If you legitimize every conspiracy theory, right, nothing is real. Everything around us is some hoax, some man-made illusion to make everything appear as if it is what it isn't. And then what are you left with? All you're left with is untruth. You don't even have an alternative theory for how the world actually works. You're just like, this is a lie, that's a lie, everything's fake. And that's essentially what ETT does here.
Get back to the moon today. Like say for instance, there's a famous clip online from like a NASA engineer, I believe it was like from 2015 or something like that. And the guy was saying, well, yeah, we had the technology to get to the moon in the 60s, but we destroyed that technology and it's, it's painful to rebuild it.
No, we had the technology to get there. We did get there. And then they were like, okay, basically we don't get anything. Like there's nothing to be gained from this. Like if we were to do this again, all we'd have is the experience of a few individuals. It doesn't serve, people. It doesn't serve humanity. It doesn't serve nations just to keep going to the moon because there's nothing there. It's constantly being bombarded by, various, what do you call those? There's a word for it, but like meteorites and shit.
Well, first of all, there's 1,000 different questions off that statement alone. For one, why would you destroy the technology? And then second of all, is it really too...
I don't think they destroyed the technology. That's not what they said. It's like saying you could go across the country in a model car from the 1900s, but why when you could fly in a 20th of the time? Yeah.
Difficult to recreate that perfectly today? Like say for instance, they claim that the phones that we have in our back pocket today are more advanced than the shuttle that supposedly took them to the moon. Look it up. That's what they claim. So
yeah, and it's true. Basically, they sent those guys up in a tin can with rocket fuel in it. Is basically what they did. And now they're like, oh, that's not practical. It's not safe. Like, we did it, but that doesn't mean we should keep doing
Y'all
it.
can make technology that's even more advanced compared to what they had back then. Well, then how the hell can you not get there today? Like seriously, like think about any type of other um, electronic device or technology we had back from the 50s and 60s. Can we not replicate it 100% better today? So why is it all of a sudden NASA gets a pat on the back when they claim that we can't recreate the technology from the 60s to get us to the moon today? I call bullshit on that. That's just a weak ass excuse. And you want to know why that's a good excuse? Because they can actually get to the moon. They're just
They can. They can get. We've gotten to the moon. There's nothing there. There's nothing for us. There's no resources. Nothing grows there. There's no minerals really. Like, maybe a few, but nothing. Nothing of value. There's nothing for us there, man.
trying to push this ball as long as they can before they have to admit that they can't actually go there. Like, say, for instance, the same thing with these UFO phenomenon going on. Like, anybody remember? Like, I remember growing up in the 2000s, and, over the past 20 years, the government's like, there's no aliens, there's no UFOs. That's just, internet hoax, or, people just lying. None of that's real. But all of a sudden, over the last like 5 years since 2020, now they're starting to admit, well, yeah, there are these objects. We don't know where they are coming from. We don't know what they are. They're not man made. We do know they exist.
That's not true. And like Bob Lazar was out there fucking years and years before that. And no, like the government has never denied that UFOs are out there. They're just saying, we don't know what the fuck it is. We don't know where it came from. We're not going to say it's aliens because that's like, it could just be, the Chinese or the Germans. Who knows, right? Cosmic Kyle says, I love when they say that astrophotography is Photoshop. Photoshop does not equal fake. I am an astrophotographer and I use Photoshop to bring out greater details in the lights and darks of space. Right, yeah. You can edit a photo and enhance the image without changing, the image itself. Those are two different things, right? And essentially what End Time Teacher is claiming is that everything we've ever seen from NASA is completely fabricated through Photoshop, which is fucking ridiculous. It's absolutely crazy. Like, how many scientists, engineers, photographers, had to work and collaborate on this just for this guy to say it's all fake. Space is fake. The whole thing is just a figment of their imaginations, bro.
But we don't know what they are or where they're coming.
Like, people have been there, right? But it's just, there's some outer zone. He's not sure where or how far. But at some point, if you go out into the orbit of the Earth, apparently, I don't know, you'll hit a bubble, something. I mean, it just prevents you from going any further. Even though things have gone further, but that's a lie. So, he just made it up.
So the government's admitting it now. Well, yeah, these things are real. We don't know what they are, but they are real. They're literally admitting this, putting it on TV now, putting it, speaking about it openly in Congress. You know what I'm saying?
You're talking about the fucking idiots who, like, we're tripping on drone sightings? Are these the fucking people you're talking about? Like the same guys who were like, well, I don't know, there were some drones, there were some helicopters, we don't know what they were. There were thousands of documented sightings. Oh, that's that
so
one guy.
Now it's not a kept secret anymore. Now the government's admitting, well, yeah, these do exist. We just don't know a lot about them. Whereas, 2 decades ago, 3 or 4 decades ago, they'd be like, well, yeah, they don't exist at all.
Well, they might exist. I mean, that's the whole fucking point of the thing, right? You have sightings, you have some loose, scattered evidence, right? To say, hey, this has been reported. It could be true hypothetically, right? Like a lot of people say they've seen shit, right? But that doesn't prove that what they've seen is what they think they have seen. It could be some entirely different phenomena, or they could have just been fucking hallucinating. You don't know.
It's just crazy to believe in UFOs. They're nothing, right? They're not real. You know what I'm saying? Like it's gonna be the same way with the moon landing. Slowly but surely, it seems like every day that goes by, it seems like
It's not going to be the same way with the moon landing. You could talk to the fucking guy who landed on the moon. I think Armstrong died, right? But the other guys, like there were four of them, if I remember correctly. Uh, yeah, four guys on that mission, the first mission, and then they've had a subsequent moon landing, I believe. Uh, oh wow, yeah, there have been several. Like 20 dudes, all dudes, but they all went to the moon at some point or another, right? Like,
NASA's getting closer to admitting the truth that they did not actually go to the moon. Anybody remember back in 2015, which, believe it or not, was 10 years ago now? I remember Elon, before he blew up as some type of like internet.
okay, no, it says 12 astronauts have actually walked on the moon. 12 of these astronauts have walked on the moon, and the other here have been in orbit of it, I guess.
Hero that everybody knows. He wasn't as well known 10 years ago. People knew him, but, wasn't as popular as today. I mean, shit, now the dude's so popular, he's like, Trump's right-hand man in the White House, for Christ's sake. Right? The dude's bringing his own children to the Oval Office. But
Musk, yeah, okay, yeah. See, that guy, we can talk about that guy. That's a whole other podcast, though. Thank you, Cosmic Kyle. I do appreciate it. Thank you very much. My awesome life.
Back then, 10 years ago, he was saying, well, yeah, we're going to take people to Mars and colonize Mars by the year 2030. 2030 is in 5 years from now, and there is no talk about going to Mars, right?
Yeah, there's plenty of talk about going to Mars, and there was, prior to whatever Musk was doing, right? I think the problem with him has been his rockets are not successful, right? He can't land them. Like, they go up just fine most of the time, and then occasionally they just flub, right? But he keeps trying to land them and not being able to do it, right? So there's some kind of issue with the dude you're talking about
if you ask Elon about it, he'll be like, oh, I don't know. The dude's struggling to get his own supposed rockets to land smoothly here on the Earth. So what the hell odds are there that these guys are going to actually take people to Mars? But I just want to point out that this was a big thing 10 years ago, and now that 10 years went by, and again, the goal was 2030 that they would do it in, they were claiming, and now nobody talks about it anymore. And why is that?
Well, yeah,
because they can't.
It's because he's too distracted by the his recent political engagements. That's why he's not talking about it anymore. He's been moved over here. He's been relegated to this position. Now he's in charge of dismantling government organizations that are inhibiting his personal business interests.
Get there. It's just the lies. They're just taking the taxpayer dollars to try to put into these, promises that they're going to take people to these other planets, and they're just spending it on what they want. But one day, people are going to find out that, they're being lied to. And it seems like that day is approaching very soon. As the days go by, topics such as flat earth or, fake space and, other internet sensations are, starting to get more popular, right? People are starting to realize that they can't trust the people in charge.
Which is it's very unfortunate, right? And there's the same people that are like, using horse dewormer and shit like that. Because they just don't think they can trust authority, and that includes everybody, down to the government, down to the space agency, down to the medical establishment, right? It's like I heard this one conspiracy theory on Rogan and now I can't. I have to question everything. I don't actually try to, understand it. Like, I don't study in that field, right? I just listen to conspiracy theorists on YouTube, and now I base my whole engagement with the world on this proposition that everything I've ever been told is a lie.
And I'll quickly touch on the moon landing. Well, first of all, if the moon landing, if it really did happen, well, why is it that we don't have like a base on the moon at this point? Like something, imagine how much of a benefit that would be. For one, if you set up a live stream from the moon for the Earth, you could educate children by using that. Every school in the world will be showing that to their students. The much you could learn there if you could set up a little base there. And first of all,
So there's a moon treaty, formerly known as the Agreement Governing Activities of States on the Moon and Other Celestial Bodies, a 1979 UN treaty that declares the moon and its natural resources are the common heritage of mankind. It aims to prevent the moon from being claimed as territory and to establish an international regime for responsible exploitation of its resources when it becomes feasible. While it has been signed by several nations, it has not been ratified by major spacefaring countries like the United States, Russia, and China. Interesting stuff.
the moon is only, according to them, only 230 some thousand miles from the Earth. So if anything really went wrong, you could evacuate the people. Or you can send them more supplies because they're only 230 some thousand miles away.
So just a preliminary, there's parties who have signed the treaty include Mexico, Australia, parts of the Middle East, but most countries have not signed this treaty, right? It's just not feasible to go there to do anything with it. It's not economically viable.
Why talk about going to colonize Mars and all that, which is, far greater distance compared to the Earth? Like, I believe they claim it would take a couple years to actually transport from Mars, from the Earth to Mars, right? They say it'd take a couple years to do that, whereas the moon is only like a couple of days, right? So why not first colonize the moon before we move on to all these other distant planets? Like, again, if something went wrong at Mars, you couldn't reach the people.
Who's going to colonize the moon? Mankind as a whole? What country is supposed to colonize the moon? In your expert opinion, right? The US? Maybe. Israel? I don't know.
In time, you couldn't resupply them in time. If something happened on the moon, it'd be far easier to, fix the problem. So again, there's so many questions that they're not ready to.
What are you talking about? What do you mean if something happened on the moon, it would be easier to fix it? How so? How would it be easier to fix what problem? What?
Addressed at this point. And another one, the moon rocks, right? The moon rocks that they gave to like museums to put on display.
Oh, this one's my favorite. This is a gem right here. I'll let you listen for yourself. This is amazing. I was laughing so hard when I heard this.
A lot of them have been tested, and it turns out they're just like old wood. You can look this up. This is not even a joke. You look it up. Another one. Oh, this is a good one. The suit that
the moon rocks are petrified wood, bro. That's all it is. It's petrified wood. The moon is made of petrified wood. I don't know what he's talking about here. I really. It's funny because the Google search put in moon rock made of weed. I hadn't even finished typing the word moon rock yet, but okay, so there was one case in 2009 where they say a piece of petrified wood was accidentally put in a museum as a moon rock. One case, just one case. Okay.
astronauts used in the 60s to go on the moon, if you look at the boot print, it doesn't actually match the pictures that they supposedly took on the moon. So that's another cut as well. So every way you look at it, it shows that there's a deception with this, whole outer space and, other distant galaxies.
My Awesome Life says, I think the moon doesn't have the atmosphere needed to sustain human life, whereas Mars could possibly over time. Right. Exactly. And it's not, there's not a breathable atmosphere on Mars, right? I think terraforming is the idea, right? That you could create an atmosphere. The moon has too unpredictable, too volatile situation. In reality, the moon blocks a lot of debris from space that would otherwise hit the Earth. Instead, it hits the moon. And that's why there's so many craters on the moon, right? And that's one of the reasons that it's not habitable, among others, right? So it's basically barren. Mars at least has like frozen water and stuff. I don't think the moon has any of that that is significant. Oh, got a few people here. Halsey on a Kaiju and Viking of Silverwolf. Good to see you. My comments are disappearing as I look in here. So I can open it up on this end. Right, that the moon is not, like, just because we can go there doesn't mean we should. Keeping people there is not safe. It's not sustainable. Because we can't. That was me. Sorry, excuse me. I had to open up the chat on the other end. Oh, okay. I had missed a few comments. Excuse me. Sorry about that. Brojo said ETC lives like 30 minutes and wants to meet, but he's a dishonest interlocutor. Yeah, I can believe that. And then Maynard Safe said, I think most banks spend about the same amount on bank cams as the jet cost. Yeah, they're like home security cameras. Like, it's not that good. I think they're required to have them there for like insurance purposes. It's not something they invest highly in. Really, I mean, they're federally insured, right? So if they get robbed, they just get the money back from the Fed. Banks don't actually care in that regard.
That humans can travel to, and really it's just science fiction. And a whole nother point I want to mention here is, you see how good they depict space on like these TV shows or movies. Like, say for a good example, have you ever watched the movie Life, which I recommend watching? It's actually a pretty good movie. But in Life, it's outer space is depicted so well, and the International Space Station is depicted so well. How do you know the difference between the fake one, which is the movie, and the supposed real one, which is NASA's, ISS, crew they supposedly have up there? Like, if they can actually fake it in the movie, why can't they fake it in real life? Logically think about that. If the real life version and the Hollywood version, if there's no difference between what they look like, well, then how do you know that the supposed real one is not actually fake?
Huh?
So that's a good point to leave off on, right? It shows if they got the capability of just faking it for a couple $1 million, like how they do in these.
So if I can like build a set in Hollywood that looks like Juarez, Mexico, then Juarez, Mexico, therefore might not actually exist. Like, is that what you're saying?
Movies. Well, obviously they could do the exact same thing and just tell people that it's real. But anyway, I'm gonna wrap the video up there.
I haven't made a cooking video in a while. What I did is I got a red onion, and I'm gonna cut.
Yeah, I was hilariously entertained by that. So yeah, I'm sure people are going to do better debunks, but ETT is not taken very seriously in many circles that I'm in these days. So just thought it'd be fun to get that one out there. All right. Well, I'm going to. Where are we at? just about an hour. I also have Cooking with Gail in the watch later, and she's making a Greek salad. And, you know, other than worrying about her cutting her fingers, you know, for the most part, we're very intrigued with her chefery. So
back a little bit on the raw onion. I'm making Greek Horiatiki salad. And what I'm doing right now, I'm waiting for my water to get a little cooler, and I'm going to shock the onion. That what I may try to lessen the oniony taste, but I'm going to put it in red wine vinegar and water. We're going to.
But the oniony taste is the whole reason you use the onion, Gail.
Save
if you wanted to lessen the oniony taste, you just take out the onion.
Right now, I'm going to prepare the English cuke. I'm going to partially peel this to make a striped pattern, and then slice it into half moons. So, let's see. I've waited way too long to make this, so let's see if I can do this. There we go. Yeah. You don't really need to peel these things, the English cubes, but I'm going to do it to make it kind of pretty.
I'm now concerned about her using the peeler as well, and that looks like the peeler we have at home, and she doesn't look very confident with this peeler. Sometimes she makes me nervous when she uses sharp objects.
Greek salad, so everything in there is going to be raw. Let's see. There we go. Yeah. Looks like it's still good. I've been so busy working on the Gail series that I haven't. That's good enough. Okay. So let's go ahead and cut it into half moons. This. I'm wondering if this.
Reggio said, being concerned over use of a peeler seems warranted by what I've seen so far, yeah.
Yeah, I could go like this.
Welcome, Reggio.
Let me see. There's a half moon. See that? I'm wondering if I could do this faster. I have an idea. Let's go like this. Go down like this. There we go. Now, I'll go ahead and cut it like this. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and cut all these into half moons like you see me doing. And that's how I'm going to prepare the English cukes. More delicious ingredients coming up. So, here's what that looks like. Let's go ahead now work on the green pepper. I'm going to cord and slice it into rings, so we'll go ahead and do that next. I like my salad pieces bite-sized, so I'm not going to follow the recipe exactly. I like the idea of doing that. So I cord them. Note of interest, everything that I'm using I bought from Whole Foods, so I just happened to be at Whole Foods when I got all the ingredients for this. Okay, so, yeah, let's see. I think we'll go this way. This is good enough for me. You know what, so I'm going to go ahead, let's go this way. I like everything bite size, you know, sort of. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and you see what I'm doing here. Yeah, I like everything bite-sized, so like I said, I don't have to follow the recipe exactly. So I'm going to be doing that. I enjoy my food more when it isn't getting all over my face. So let me go ahead and cut up the green onion now.
If it doesn't get all over the place, it doesn't belong in your face. Alright, I'm going to end it there. So I do have some other things to do today, but I appreciate everybody coming by. I saw Cosmic Kyle, Reggio, Viking Silverwolf, My Awesome Life, Brojo, Halcyonic Kaiju and Maynard Saves in the chat today. And much love to everybody. Be kind, be well, and stay trusty. And I'll attempt to put something up, in the next week. As I said, I have got some lengthy project ideas. But mostly I really just want to do an open panel sooner rather than later. So as soon as I have a couple hours, I'll probably do that. So happy Friday, y'all. We'll see you later.